My mum was Betty Davis, or Greta Garbo. On those rare nights when she would go and leave me and Dad at home, she'd hang her pinny behind the bedroom door, take off the slippers that she always wore, fold her headscarf into the dressing table drawer, and transform into a star. And I'd watch as the hands that worked the mangle and yanked the tangles from my hair would tease the curls from the rollers and unfurl them with such care. And a little mist of spray and just enough of brown on face with a powder puff. And with breath held tight and eyes open wide, I'd watch the lipstick twist and the red rise. Left slide, right slide, smack lips tight, and press down gently on a hanky, white. Then she'd be off down the path with no rush or fuss, and I'd peer through the window till she got on the bus and race back to the table and cradle that hanky with the shadow red kiss that she left just for me. And I knew there'd be a red carpet when she got off the 33, with crowds and photographers admiring her beauty because they would all love her, but not as much as me. Now all this was in Salford, overspill, council suburbia, and this was at the end of the 50s, still painted in post-war sepia with no hint of 60s psychedelia that was round the corner. And even now, as I dig in my bag overstuffed with tact and disorder, I'll feel those ridges and I'm back. New York, London, Paris, Rome, Estee Lauder. And there's a tear in my eye because I no longer see magic in the mundane, just grown-up reality. But there's a bloody big smile too, because 50 years on, none of her dignity and charm have gone. She doesn't wear makeup upon her face to show that she has beauty and grace. It's there in every wrinkle, every line, every gesture, every movement, so refined. So here's to you and all that you are, to my mum, forever a star.
Have you seen my princess? Have you seen my princess, my princess? So I lost her and I didn't even know it. She just left on a cold wing. I hear a voice that sounds like hers, but it's not the same. I hear words she might have once said, but something's changed. It all sounds like, I keep looking. I've been looking for a while, but she's still not turned up. I've been looking. I've been looking for her smile, but I worry that she's too used to kissing frogs and sometimes she can't tell me and them apart. I've been looking for a while. I've been looking. Starting to think maybe she wants to stay hidden. Then one day I'm roaming the forest and see a poster nailed to a tree. It says, "Princess looking for a prince." My princess is looking for me, but she'll never find me. I'm cutting corners and ducking behind trees. I've learned from the best at hiding. I've learned lessons in verbal mathematics, calculated speeches and half-truths, formulating tactics to avoid detection. And now she can feel my feedback is no longer haptic. She tries to accuse, but I make her blames do backflips. She doesn't want to pursue because she knows the truth might be tragic. And being betrayed is the sum of all fears. Now, none of us make sense, because I'm trying to find her but stay hidden. I've got contradicting agendas. We could meet but never meet. Now, the good times are hard to remember. It's a sadness. But what good is a princess who doesn't know she's royal? What good is a prince who forgets his crown at random addresses? Lies look pretty until you undress it. Lies and alcohol drown the senses. Stop thinking, then sink into the senseless. These lies will kill me until I address them. Until then, I die daily. Have you seen my princess? This is too good for you. The way you went missing. Deliberately misplacing yourself in places I can't find you. Using that good girl veil to blind truth. Oh, I don't think I like princesses like you. You don't deserve to see me humbled. Wish I could show you how far I went missing. Our lips would kiss, but our lips would touch, but our eyes weren't kissing. You only deserve to see the lost side of me, the side that moves silently, the reckless and selfish, the side that brags about being hard to find, the chauvinist walking around without a heart and mind. You don't deserve this pathetic, off-key singing. But now I've gone missing, you feel like you can sing the same song too. The difference is you went missing first, and you wronged someone who'd never wronged you. Thank you.
Don't be sick all over me. Who's going to mop up the carrots and peas? Or the mess on the floor? Sipping through the crack under the door? You have made less mess, you just sneezed. Don't be sick all over me. It's not your fault you didn't enjoy your tea. Got 12 servings of spag bolognese was simply not enough. That you had to down a KFC bucket, 12 apple pies and other such stuff. 4-course Chinese meal for one, still left you rumbling. So you discarded last night's beef stew and dumplings. All over the lounge room's recently fitted burgundy carpet. The pressure had mounted until you couldn't help but parp it. And now the smell you left with would scare out even the fleas, because you ignored my request. Don't be sick all over me. Remember how I warned you, over and over again, when we were around Alton Towers, that those plants you saw were actually real biological flowers, as opposed to the edible ones you saw in the Willy Wonka movie. Still, their colour scheme was too convincing to you, if not somewhat groovy. And you avenged the error with dodgy burger after putrid hot dog after pungent Pepsi until you packed up to the rafters and took impromptu sessions on Nemesis, Oblivion and Rita immediately after. All good fun, as many in Dodgy will see, but there's just one thing asked of you, and that was... I don't really want to know what you had this morning at 3. Those two kebabs that smell of pea that you found last week in Mellhouse's Park under the tree. I can manage about those last 30 bottles of Happy Shop of Coca-Cola, and I'm sure the dog will appreciate that 2-decade overdue gorgonzola. Away with that 7th pack of premium sausages, black pudding, and those 10 ones of square cut back bacon, because if you think they clear your metabolism, you're ever so mistaken. Then if you really think you can't survive daily, do feel free to say fuck it and have your 12 McDonald's Big Macs, those 11 KFC buckets, those 10 Chinese takeaways, those 9 fish and chip suppers, with baked beans of course, by the way, those 8 chicken dupiasses with rice and barges of course, the large naan bread, 7 Sunday roasts consisting of full jota beef, 50 Yorkshire puddings and 20 potatoes per head, 600 strawberry chocolate ice creams, 5 bags of onion rings, 40 tons of trifle, 3,000 deep fried Mars bars, 2 chocolate, that's my Scottish contribution for the night, 2,000 chocolate torte flans, each a square metre wide, i.e. too bigger to see. Enjoy every banquet on big or bigger than heaven has sent. Trough yourself like a bastard to your heart's content. And your tummy does a tango until your innards are somewhat irreparably bent. But please, 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 don't be sick. Thanks.
Condemn me if you will. So my child didn't have 5 portions today. Shit, what shall I do? Oh well, my little boy smiles. Okay, I've given him 5 biscuits and played on my phone. But you know what? My little boy smiles. I salute you desperate housewives who conform to the idea of perfection. Your idea is given to you, driven by societal idiosyncrasies, but mine is this. My little boy smiles. Oh, and P.S. You also look like you've got a broom stuck up your arse. That's never a good look. When he cuddles into his teddy and says, "Night night, love you mummy," I know he is happy, and my little boy smiles. Hang on. Oh shit, come on. 1 minute. Oh. So fuck it, I'm not perfect. Yes, I forget appointments. And yes, I plonk him in front of the TV when I should play a game. But I've got it right at the end of the day because my little boy smiles.
Along winding cobbled hills, water rolls down walls from drifting clouds. As Window's eyes have seen 1,000 horses, more people than any folk's God, old but never weary. Over mountain peaks, small or large, where you can see 100 miles on any given day when the sun dares to shine. The tourists take their pictures and locals walk their dogs. Bears inside inns where outside they tethered horses 700 years ago. Now American tourists dance with English invaders who once tore down their walls, now lay down their heads to sleep in their stables. Thank you.
fairy from next door's Christmas tree is tapping at my window. She's trapped beneath an unopened box of panettone as the water is slapping against my window too, and still rains fall. Relentless torrential rain falls, and the people gather in community halls on higher ground, safe but not sound as the banks break, the dams breach, and the waters reach barrier limits. But there's no secret Santa or soggy sausage roll banter, just bamboozled confusion, tear-filled disillusion. Still the rain falls, tap, tap, tapping at my window, and soggy sprinkles of tinsel, twinkling glitter, St. Nick's spitting gift-wrapped cheer at the end of another year. Paper snowflakes and icicles throw shadows of Christmas on the water like ghostly jokes, like dancing zombie fairy lights, as the sloshing wavelets flash in the light of the torches and the candles and tall sticks standing in windows, burning relentless, welcoming strangers as the flood levels rise. And there go the sirens. Evacuate, evacuate, get out now, it's not too late. And the rain comes down, tick, 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 splat on my window pane, on their window pane in the grand old town of York. Chukka chukka come the choppers, airlift to safety, away in the distance. I can hear them faintly as bridges collapse from Sorby to Hebden, where bucket loads of tears are shed and bailed from the water table, disabled by the rising tides that divide the town and run down to the sea. They are not able to keep the home fires burning, as once gentle streams are churning white water horses, where yesterday was a gentle weir.
Galileo, you drew the moon, brought out its dark side in chiaroscuro. You forced the world to see its light and its place in the universe. How little we knew then, and how much more there is to find. From your own house alone, you saw so far, whole planets and rings we could not have imagined. You made our earth more wonderful and shouted the truth, although some of us did not want to hear it. You looked into the heavens, recorded and exhorted, made us keep looking up, honestly observing and believing. Though we may have been encased in ice and kept still in perfect harmony, you smiled and showed us the sphere.
Our new cat earns his keep. At all hours he will lay aside his duties, grooming, mousing, overseeing the punctual refilling of his bowl, to chase the ghost cat from us. 1 minute purring, slumped across my lap, the next alert and leaping wildly to the floor, to guard us from his dark, unseen tormentor. Other days, he'll scratch for hours at the shiny portal where he can see, can't we, the eldritch face of a golden-eyed dark demon, who he's sure means us harm. It haunts him, this apparition. It hovers in his eyeline when he licks the dripping bath tap. It watches as he watches through the window. So far, it hasn't dared to come inside and raise its claws against us, but vigilance is needed every moment. And in the garden, 10 years cold and dreaming, his predecessor purrs into the silence.
Don't piss off the fairies by being a bit of a dick, because you'll see their dark side pretty quick. Because these fairies have pretty sharp teeth and seem happy on the surface but underneath. The fairies are filled with hate, sick of all the things that bigoted fools say and everything the world brings. The fairies are tired of all the bullshit that you dish, so don't be surprised when they won't grant your wish. Can't you see they don't want to answer all your questions? So don't piss off the fairies and only ask for directions.
Part 1. Her name was made of light as she heaved the brace on over her uniform, the navy in harsh red piping, weighting her more than an entire glockenspiel. I remember the enormous instrument cases dragged from the slumber of the women's bathroom. The church hall was too small for even a cupboard, almost all of them larger than me, and my little white shoes that my father had patiently buckled that morning, the whole Sunday school inattentive, watching them don their full regalia. They don't parade there anymore. and the flags slump in some undusted corner. The organ is electric now. I forget what the blonde-haired girl was called, but she spoke for both of them, her laughter booming in time with the bass drum, and I would pout, waiting for the next time the other's voice slipped graciously between the beats. I followed her down the path that would take me back to my parents, back for communion, for the vicar's hands pressing God's blessing down upon my unruly hair, and I said, feather, which was almost right, and was furious with myself all afternoon. Part 2. Most people paid no attention to her. She stayed hidden behind that curtain of hair, except for those long fingers clicking at the Walkman. It was out of date even then. I didn't learn the contours of her face until I'd been getting on that school bus for over a month, and my novelty, my smallness, seemed to have worn off like the threads coming loose at the end of my blazer. In one swoop, she pulled it all up atop her head, and the sleeves dropped, revealing the vast expanse of bandages that ran from elbow to wrist. I'd been sitting next to her for a fortnight because she never tried to shoo me away, and I knew that this meant something. But the thought had no edges, only that I shouldn't ask her. No one else would tell me what it meant either once she jostled herself and her school bag out into Ashton bus station. The sixth formers always claimed the back seats and were strict enforcers of hierarchy, unless they felt like imparting wisdom to the youngest of us for their own amusements. Maddie caught me staring, as if my gaze could brush that hair behind her neck, and she said, "It means she likes the attention." The girl did not return in September. I heard she went to a different college. Part 3. She was the lesser half of the pair, her lips closed and eyes drawing up the storyboards to animate what would happen next. Editor standing beside director, clapperboard in one hand, but signing to the cameraman with the other. The art of saying nothing and getting precisely what she wanted was to let the credits spool into someone else's hands, drowned in the uniform, missed in the register, passing by the art room windows, spectral. I thought of nothing but her, on the other side of the petite tyrant who always sat between us, praying at her own temple. But this was the religion I practiced in secret, the sect of masks that I belonged to. There is a peculiar way that only girls you meet in school will ever hurt you. I saw the banishments, one sent another away, saying it makes me uncomfortable. And I learnt that day what it meant. 2 letters and a suffix, too adult for me to be wearing. I also. The moment was not bravery, just the sudden realisation of a small detail in the work. But this one was kindly, and drew the line of her gaze between I and her brother, passing me from her hands into his.
Stick what you want, they'll never collect it. Double or quits, that's the name of the game. Don't bother starting with the man in the mirror. Smash up your life like a Windows pane, yeah. Psychedelic, middle-aged drug, like that Sex Pistol lyric, put a bomb in your head. It used to be playtime, now it's time for bed. Get older, get poorer, get sick, get dead. Say what you want and hope you live to regret it. All that you earn's another link in your chain. I'll bring out your day before a sparkling finish. Crashing your karma, taking astral plane. Oh, psychedelic, middle-aged drug. Don't follow leaders, you'll just get led. Throw up all the lies, you feed and get fed. Never forget what the Lizard King said. No one gets out of here, no one gets out of here, no one gets out of here alive. No one gets out of here, no one gets out of here, no one gets out of here alive. Whatever you won't like it when you get it, you'll never reset it. This year's on all day. Drop down a menu, life clicks and it drags, press, shuffle, sit back, it's on, random play, yeah. Psychedelic, middle-aged cook. Look up all the chemicals that you took. Add more ingredients to the soup in your head. Simmer and boil, leave to cool, drop dead. Simmer and boil, leave to cool, drop dead. Psychedelic, middle-aged dread. Sex pistol, put a bomb in your head. It used to be later, now it's time for bed. Get older, get poorer, get sick, get dead.
I laugh in the face of pain, but only to hide the sadness. I hide my true pain with a joke, a smile and a laugh, at the one who broke my heart. I laugh at my foolishness, a joke, a smile, but only for a while. Only until I'm alone, and the darkness from the night heaves heavy upon my heart. Laughter can't hide the pain from those who crack the smile and climb within. But if you crack my smile, you crack my heart. So let's keep the laughter for now. Lonely tears are less painful than love.
You'll find me here, all of me. My bag, coat and jumper. My book, money and body. Not here. You'll find me here, all of me. My hair, bus pass and earphones. My trousers, shoes and arms. Not here. You'll find me here, all of me. My socks, cards and folders. My lips, fingers and lungs. Not here. You'll find me here, all of me. If you close your eyes beneath the trees. Thanks.
Premiership journeyman, more valuable than the bionic man. $6 million, small change these days. Oh, charming man, swishing your frock coat, do you have the technology to rebuild me? Give me what I need. Charming man, where have you been? It's been too long. I need you to reverse this spell, send me back where I belong. He said, I've been wandering the earth, going to and fro, moseying up and down. I've followed you while the snoots have been cozying with your frown. Now you know they'll never catch you, but if you change back, you'll be doomed. So don't argue about minutiae, the bigger picture will pass you by. Stick with me, you'll have the best tunes, I guarantee. You'll have the best tunes. Ask Robert Johnson, who kept the hellhound from his trail. Ask Mick and Keith if their sympathy helped them pass or made them fail. Ask Peter Cook if Bedazzled nearly ruined his career. Then ask the Failures if they'd rather be where they are or over here. Ask Bulgakov, Goethe, ask Christopher Marlowe. I took their lives and work and I made them immortal. So stay invisible, they'll never catch you. The crowd will always root for you, and with me you'll have the best time. You'll always have the best life. Stick with me, you're guaranteed to never lose. Stick with me, you're guaranteed to always have the best tunes. He said you love your girl and that's a heartwarming story. But please spare me your entreaties, they're stupid and they bore me. You know that they will find you, lock you up and then they'll bind you. With me you'll always be free and you'll always have the best tunes. I told him that I had the best time on earth with my girl, the eternal feminine. Her fingerprints are all over my inside, she is in my skin. He said they have invisible machines that will kill you, their new enemy within. He offered me the whole world, but it's nothing without a woman or a girl, so he agreed to let me go. Went back to wandering to and fro. He might always have the best tunes, but I can't hear them if I can't feel you. He might always have the best tunes, but I can't feel them if I can't be near you. Thank you. Remember, next Wednesday.
On the transgender agenda and where I fit within it as a human rights defender, because tempers can rise and feelings get hurt if the wrong sort of person dares wear a skirt, which can seem a bit weird if you're like me and reject the notion of a gender binary. The way that I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, is we can wear what we want and still get along. It should be irrelevant if you wear trousers or a dress. If you're pleasant and respectful, then we won't get in a mess. So why should I care if you're trans, cis or gay? You're a human, a person at the end of the day. So to hear a trans activist get their pants in a twist about cis men wearing dresses, they need to desist. The trans movement shouldn't enforce the binary, but allow self-expression, set people free. If you're a trans woman, go forth, that's great. If men want to wear skirts, let them, don't berate. But don't now as a woman start to inform us and to teach what it is to be female, set etiquette to breach. It isn't accepting and it isn't nice, and as a woman you ought to think twice before resetting restrictions against which we've had to fight. Take us all back in time to what you think is right. and prevent men moving forward. Allow them to grow, become what they want, let emotions flow. Because maybe, just maybe, we can wear what we choose without having to worry about who disapproves, without jumping through hoops or proving credentials or changing our names or other essentials. Because it's just clothing, it's not who we are. It is self-expression, and yes, we've come far. But our gender identity should be more than clothes and bits, more than hairstyle and demeanour and a stereotype that fits. Because women can be boyish and men be feminine. Let's not reinforce gender norms. Let's chuck them in the bin.
Stars are falling like elder blossoms in June. The earth's really flat and the moon's a balloon. I put up my umbrella because it's teeming with stars, and they just keep falling and they are leaving scars. Here in the earthbound music bars, and the guitar playing avatars are breaking through. Could be me, it could be you. There are spaces, there are places where we could hide out. We could question our motives, explore our self-doubt, endure our self-loathing, find out what we're about. Where we can climb trees and run with the breeze, making holes in the knees of our blue jean genies. While we wait for our stars to come from behind us. Black stars are coming, they're going to find us. The black star is your outdoor. It's time to go home and debrief your lifetime. Get out of this zone, where nothing is sacred, least of all human life. All around us are problems, it's nothing but strife. Decapitations in the desert with the sweep of a knife, or airstrikes and ambush in the heat of the night. It's okay to go home now, the timing is right. We have taught them nothing, nothing of worth. Human is not compatible with other life on Earth.
Shelled in by odds, a life ruled by a rod, trapped with no chance of release. His life will applaud this computer, the god, recreating him piece by piece. Alone in his chair, his clandestine lair, he raised up his volume too loud. Signs in his eyes, so blinded to lies, seems it was to darken his shroud, taken as he waited for the reason for his life. He so wanted he was destined to live it on the edge of every knife, thought to see the day he would come to craft the empire on which he alone could force command, like a digital utopia dictated at the click of his right hand. Time would come to play, delivered in discs. He snorted at risks, safe enough road for a stray. Yet his every cheap thrill lasted only until the ghosts in the machine had their way. His unseeing hands keyed in his demands and clicked on the icon of doom. Much he had planned turned like rope into sand, burned inside his own crumbling room. Once bowed down to worldwide distinguished, like as a beacon in the night, barely longer recognised, diminished as a dimmed out candlelight. The last ember faded out, taken all the trinkets and turned off the power. The man's dream condemned to die. The rose became a watering flower, only good as food for flies. The bulb had now burned out. Machines caressed by the meagerest hands were supposed to fill the user's demands. Sadly one, found your fantasies too grand, took a piece of it and passed it land to land. The kings of Sodom and Gomorrah descended to claim his sacred files. The avenging hail now rained hard around him as his pound notes piled and piled. Taken one by one, they were blown and flown out through the window with the grace of a paper dart, into the hands all held wide open by those who lacked their heart. The ghosts in the machine had gone.
I'll tell you the story of Isaac. Not the Isaac of biblical fame, no, a wholesale trade merchant from Stockport. Isaac Finkelbaum, that were his name. Now, Ikey were a great lad with money, as this story will show you for sure. And the Rolls Royce which parked outside Ikey's house was proof that he wasn't right poor. One day he buzzed off to Leeds to do business with a friend there named Sam. And it didn't take long all that new Pennine way, because he went by in Rolls Royce, not by tram. And at midday he was cruising down Attrill, and as he was driving around, his normal expression went dismal and that, and his cheery smile turned to a frown. Then all of a sudden he stopped, and giving a great pair of thanks, jumped out of his car and in through the door of one of Leeds' knobby great banks. In a moment he stood before manager, whose manner was proper and prim, saying, "Can we be of assistance?" And like he requested of him. "Can you lend us 2,000 smackers? Not to keep, just to borrow, you see. I promise I'll have them back to you in your office just before tea." £2,000, said the manager. "That's a lot of maloo, but if you've some sort of security, I might do business with you." "Security," said Isaac. "That's easily fixed. My Rolls Royce is outside your door. If I don't have your money back here for 5 sharp, consider my car to be yours." "Done," said the manager, and as they shook hands, the clerk was sent down to the street. And he rolled Isaac's car round the back of the bank, and Ike went on his feet. He was back at 10 to 5 though, with the money clenched in his fist. The manager was sent for and he counted it out and he checked it all off on his list. "There's the interest though," said the manager. "It'll just take a moment or two. 2,004 hours will cost you 5 pence, or an old-fashioned shilling to you." So I paid the 5 pence, and the manager said, "You brought back the same banknotes with you. What did you do with them new £2,000? You didn't spend them, so what did you do?" "Spend them," said Isaac, and he craftily smiled. "Do you think I've more money than sense? In a city like Leeds, how else do you think I can park all day long for 5 pence?"
The town learnt patience from the tides, grew to abide by the laws of nature, to respect the confines of her wrath and ruin. They walked the paths to the river's mouth and paid due reverence to the solemn waving shores. They knew more could be taught by a frond amidst the currents than was caught in dull minds and stale rooms. Here the moon's many cycles still held meaning. Through the crystal shards and worn shells gleaming in the sallow light, they would take no glow for granted when traversing uneven ground, planted with chaos and history. They tended the mysteries sown in shallow caves by sharpened tongues, hungry for the bitter taste of gold, slowly moulded by the whisper of time, but only silver shines at night, and the true treasures were buried too long ago to hold much meaning to the common eye, fondled by passers-by and returned despondent to the sand. The land is moving here, running from the rolling tongues that chase it, shedding its ashen face into the mouth below, gaping, waiting for its due reward to hoard the secrets of the land and drown them upon a whim. The waves rang low on the horizon. They sang the hymns the stones needed most to hear. The sea bled herself into the cracks that solidity might yield back to her what she longed for, the finality and stillness of fossilized death. But this place is tamed by the living, given name and meaning. Title marks the land, but more the people, steeped and worn by beauty, come accustomed and so forgotten. The rotten smell of sea foam left to dry, and dying fish on trodden sand, sodden by the crying skies and wailing depths. But the line is still held by rock and ocean, locked in the devotion of failing one another, wearing back the town onto the myths that it was built upon. The gifts as it was fleeting, as it was lost. Costs will rise with the rarity of the moment, the care given to the futile battle that must be left once fought. Here was life wrought and abandoned. Here stand the ghosts of thoughts before time.
I was 15, I said the word cunt in front of my mother for the first time, and she told me never to say it again, especially in the kitchen, as if somehow the word would creep into the fridge and make the food go bad. And I never questioned why that particular word was banned, but Fanny and Clunge and Vag were all okay. As I got older, I constantly questioned people as to why it was such a taboo word. After all, our mothers, sisters, friends and girlfriends all have them. And I'm not offended by my vagina or anyone else's. However, I am offended when one particular word to describe it is almost banished just because it is used as an ugly insult. Is it female oppression or is it just painful politeness? When used out of context, I can kind of see the offence, but what is so offensive about a body part that helps give life and pleasure? And my use of the word cunt often has people saying I'm being offensive and provocative just for the sake of it. I've said cunt in the kitchen since that incident when I was 15, and none of my food has gone bad, nor has the sky crumbled into the sea. And I am proud of my fanny, my vagina, my clunge, my beef curtains, and my cunt.
Would you cry for me when you read about how they found me, sightless eyes staring at the ceiling in a bath red with my own blood? Would you even care if I hung limp, lifeless from a noose I had strung from the ceiling, my face streaked with the tears of my agony? Would you feel guilty that the pain you caused me left me lying in bed, pale skin, cold to touch, hands clutching at empty packets of pills? You're just a stranger, how could you know? This is what fills my mind in the moments of quiet when the darkness comes reaching for my soul.
When I heard Andy Murray's balls were falling from his shorts, it wasn't the yellow bouncy sort that came into my thought. No, because my mind's rather strange. All I could see was Ed. Balls. Yeah, the old ex-Labour MP. I couldn't get rid of that image and it stayed with me for days. I tried to eliminate it in oh so many ways, but by Friday it changed to Zoe. Balls. And her dad, Johnny. Balls. Saturday was Michael. Balls. And Cannon. On Sunday. Monday was the secret policeman's, which was really quite surreal, but not as scary as the next day when it turned into Lucille. Balls. I forgot what day. The next day was Kenny. Balls. And all his jazzmen instead. Then the next day, bloody Ed. Balls. Came back into my head. Oh! Balls. I cried, I can't take this, it's driving me insane, so I released all the balls from the deep recesses of my brain. And I could see Jokovic confidently raising his racket and on scene fire. Balls. Shoot from Andy Shorts that he'd be sure to cack it, there'd be bowling, beach, balls. Eye, crystal, disco. Okay, warning here, this is the worst line I've ever written, and I do actually think it could actually be the worst line ever written, ever. When centre court was covered with all of these balls, they'd be tidied away by Wimbledon's very own Wom. Balls. Remember, you're a Wom. I told you. So, next time you see Andy Murray playing tennis in those shorts, guess what? All of those images will pop into your thoughts. And whether he's a champion or whether he falls, you can shout it from the rooftop that it's all a load of balls! Wonderful, wonderful, thank you.
Dear David, you've left us. Jumped tracks and gone off with the angels. You always seemed ageless. And it doesn't seem possible that you could fade. Yes, changes are part of our lives, but you were always stardust. And we cannot believe that you could not survive. David will miss you. Dear David, thank you for Ziggy and Jareth and Bowie. Thank you for using your music to show us that we could be heroes, be kings, queens and weirdos, that a boy in high heels could be glad to be queer. Oh, so many of us looked to you on the strangest of days, in the darkest of nights, and we'd see in the sky was a starman who'd glitter so brightly. The slow burn of loneliness cooled, oh, so slightly. David, we loved you. Dear David, you knew. She was only a child. And I know that you thought you were wicked and wild, rebel, and with your own story beguiled, but she couldn't consent. with an age gap that wide. And although she said yes, you knew somewhere inside that the voices that gave you permission, they lied. So inviting, enticing to play in the part of the dangerous heartthrob who'd stolen her heart, and it's easy to say now that she was a child of her time, in an era apart. And the rules we keep now don't apply to that part of our history. But I think that's unfair. And I think it erases the millions of adults in those times and places who didn't fuck children. David, how could you? And I don't believe anyone waits in the sky, and I don't believe you'll hear my final goodbye, and there isn't a ledger of good against bad, all the joy that you brought versus all of the sadness. But with you, it's complicated. And even today, I don't think it's right to forget all your darkness and only hang on to your light. Thank you.
Today it rose in the west, and as we looked at each other, the sun waited on the opposite platform, ready to commute to work. It melted snow on the slopes of everything, and so came the rivers and streams, moving away from us and towards the west. And so I went with them. At the airport, the solar panels were craving light from the wrong side of the world, and areas cloaked in dark in shadow are now seen for what they truly are. I wanted to leave you a note, but the streams aren't waiting any longer. They pushed and pushed towards this foreign western land where you fall behind me. It is not the sun that moves each day, but rather us.
Do not stand at my desk and sneeze. I am not here to hear you wheeze the 1,000 times you blow your nose and tell me of your snotty woes. Don't come into work in a menthol rush saying, oh God, just one more push. You'll be back in a few days feeling alright, having it given it me, so I feel shite. Ready? Do not stand at my desk and cough. With sympathy, I'll tell you to...